In this short video, we're going to demonstrate Salabhasana. Salabhasana is otherwise known as locust pose, and it's a fantastic posture for developing strength in that back chain. So developing strength in the erector spinae group, along with the gluteals and along with the hamstrings. It's traditionally done at the end of the class, possibly either within the finishing sequence or just before the finishing sequence. But because it's a really strong posture that strengthens the back, the glutes and the hamstrings, we need to take the posture step by step, especially with our clinical yoga clients that might be suffering from generalized back pain. So we're going to work our way through the different stages and work with this with your clients so that they're taking it step by step and only progressing on to the next stage when they're ready. Okay, so Katie has started, she's in the lying position and she's got the head resting on the hands there. She's engaged the bandhas, so Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha are engaged. And we're going to start with one leg. So she's essentially going to lengthen that leg out behind her as if she's reaching towards the wall behind. And she's lengthening it so far out behind her that the leg may lift up off the mat. Now, while she's holding it here, anywhere from between 3 to 5 breaths, she's now strengthening the hamstrings, strengthening gluteus maximus, and she might feel some strengthening in that lumbar region too. But the pelvis is staying neutral on the mat. Then from there, she's going to lower that leg down. And then she would repeat the same thing on the other side. So she's lengthening the leg out behind her, really, really stretching as if she's trying to touch that wall behind her. Hamstring strengthening, glutes and lower back area. And again, she's going to hold this from between 3 to 5 breaths and then lower down. Now, if this is enough for your client at this stage, you could repeat this 2 to 3 times, each time holding the leg up from between 3 to 5 repetitions and making sure that they're working both sides equally. When your client is then ready, we'd work on to the next stage or move on to the next stage, which would be lifting both legs together. So in this instance, Katie is now going to lengthen both legs to the wall behind her. She's really, really stretching those legs, lengthening backwards, and they're going to lift up. So now she's working both legs together, strengthening hamstrings, glutes, and lumbar region. And then again, holding it up for about 3 to 5 repetitions and then lowering those legs back down. When we're working on the leg phase, we also want to accompany that with the upper body phase, regardless if you're doing one leg at a time or both legs together. So Katie's now going to demonstrate the upper back phase, or the back phase, sorry. So she's got her arms down to the side of her. So we start with the arms down to the side, and over time, as the client gets more competent, they can move the arms out to the side, which is higher intensity, and arms out above the head as well, which is further higher intensity. But this is the ideal place to start, with the arms resting down to the side of the body. Now Katie's going to keep the legs onto the mat and she's going to stretch the head to the wall in front of her, and she's stretching that head so far forward that the upper back or the chest is going to come off the mat. So she's now strengthening all of that erector spinae group. The hands can either rest lightly on the mat, or if they're comfortable, they can lift those hands up off the mat and really stretch those hands towards the ankles. Excellent. She would hold this position for about 3 to 5 breaths and then lower back down again. So if we were taking this posture in 2 halves, we would lift the legs up 3 to 5 breaths, then lift the upper body up 3 to 5 breaths. And again, we might repeat that twice in each stage. Then when the client is ready, we would put both of those stages together. So we're going to lift the legs and the back at the same time. So again, Katie's going to have those arms down to the side of the body. She's taking a deep inward breath, using that Ujjayi breath if the client's comfortable. Bandhas are engaged. And on that outward phase, she's now going to lengthen those legs out behind her, stretch that head forward and lift into the locust pose. And hold this 3 to 5 breaths, depending on the strength of the client. If they can only hold it for 1 breath, that's absolutely fine. That's our place to start and then gradually build up. And then when the client's ready, they would lower back down. If you're repeating this 2 to 3 times, allow the client to have a couple of rest breaths. So they're relaxing down on the mat first, or possibly accompany it with child's pose before you then move into that next repetition. Okay, so that was Salabhasana, locust pose, helping us to develop the strength in that backward chain.